or center and middle, I guess is the same thing. Over the lower center of your screen, you will reveal the Q&A button there. So that, of course, we want to make sure you are aware of and is open to you this entire time. We very much welcome your questions. We do see them, and we'll have time at the end to answer them all. But don't feel you have to wait. Just answer that, or just pop your question in whenever it comes to mind. And we'll wait just another minute here, and then we can get started.
I have to say this for our friends that know us well, Andrew, it's going to be smile, kick, turn. Here we go.
Smile, kick, turn.
That's right.
Love your hair. Hope you win.
Smile,
kick, turn. Okay. The many idioms we've learned from Tom Frisbee over the years of his leadership and mentorship, / indoctrinating, which has been wonderful and terrifying all the same time. Alex nods yes.
There we go. There we go.
I concur. Yeah.
Well, Tom, we're a little after.
I think we're good. Yes. Yeah, let's get started.
Shall we get started?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you all so much for being here. I love this. This is our second that we're doing, so I'm glad you're all here and able to join. I'm Andrew Childers. I'm a market manager at Steelhead Productions, and this is, I was going to say storytelling. This is the virtual playground, which is an exploration of storytelling in the virtual space. This is our second of 5 of these sessions that we will be doing that are informative and enlightening, to say the least, and they're all centered on micro and macro trends to help us pivot into this newly unfolding marketing reality that we're all clearly stepping into. Before I talk to you about the panel and the amazing talent we've got here, let me reiterate once again that in the center lower part of your screen, if you move your mouse, you'll see the Q&A box there. Please give that a click so it's open. We welcome you to pop a question in there at any time. And don't worry, you're not going to be interrupting the presenters. There's great controls on all this, so don't think you're going to mess us up. You won't. We do want to encourage your questions. Liz and I will be hanging on to those until the very end, when we will answer as many as we can. And for those we can't get back to, don't worry, we have a nice mechanism in place to follow up with you. So no question will go unanswered. So once again, that Q&A box is down right in the middle lower section of your screen. Feel free to pop a question in at any time, and we will answer them at the end. Now, let me tell you that once again, I am joined by an amazing panel that will be taking over the show. And at its helm is the creative director for our chief design. Pardon me, I'm mixing up titles here because, Tom, I've worked with you for so many years that now I have to remember what title you have now.
You're dating me. You're dating me, yeah.
Well, it's because Tom has years of leadership in this industry. Our Chief Design Officer at Steelhead Productions is Mr. Tom Frisbee, who has been a mentor of mine for many years. I'm really lucky. He has spearheaded projects for some of the world's most iconic brands. And for many of us in the marketing space, we know that face. And if he just looks familiar, but you can't quite put a name to it, it's because you saw him on the cover of Event Design magazine a couple years ago. He is a celebrated speaker and faculty member for both HCEA and Exhibitor Online. So you certainly would have seen him down at Exhibitor Live, among some other places. It is with pleasure now that I turn it over to our Chief Design Officer at Steelhead Productions, Mr. Tom Frisbee.
Thank you, Andrew. We really appreciate that. I don't know how many of you have actually participated in our cocktail hours, but Andrew is the perfect host. Matter of fact, we're terrified in terms of the organization that CBS is going to steal him for The Price is Right. He's so damn good at this. So anyway, we're thrilled. We're always thrilled to have you host the party. So, well, welcome everybody. We're also super excited to share this virtual playground presentation with you. As Andrew was saying, you know, we have been researching trends, and certainly things have changed very, very fast. We document trends every year, every quarter, and I have to say this last 3 months has been just like, you know, a skyrocket of activity, but we're super excited about it. I mean, we're certainly at a time when our industry has to pivot and change change. If you think about it honestly, it was time for a change, and this event, although it's tragic in many ways, is really sort of one of those watershed moments where it mandates change. And we've been probably the most wasteful industry well, second to the construction industry in the world, and this is an opportunity for us to really shift, to embrace technology where it's appropriate, and really create a big difference for our audience using, virtual connections, digital connections in order to move forward. So I do have a couple of my designers with me, and I'll introduce those to you here in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and start moving forward. So for those of you that participated last week, we did a great session on escapism. If you didn't get the link, or if you'd like the link, we'd be happy to send that to you. Today, we're talking about the virtual playground. We're also going to be talking about sensory deprivation. And if you think about sensory deprivation and you're wondering what that is, imagine that we take one of your senses away from you, right? Well, what happens as an audience, as a species, we fill in the blanks. And what we want our customers to do is to lean in and fill in the blanks. And we really want to direct that. We want to art direct that experience. So it's a really great session on how to do that, how to create that sort of, engagement with your customer. The next one is what we call the vending machine. And if you think about what's going to happen as we come out of this, right, there's no question that many of us will have to be sort of downsizing our exhibits and having to, come up with a much more compartmentalized solution to deliver our message and products. So we call it the vending machine, sort of the perfect presentation of the product delivered in the right size at the appropriate budget. So we'll be looking at that as well. So it's a very, very smart, intelligent, and insightful sort of study on what's going to be happening to our industry and how can we respond to it with really, really magical, remarkable sort of solutions. And then we are going to finally end up on what we call miniature magical moments, right? And certainly what we want to do when our customers engage with us, whether it be virtually or otherwise, either a hybrid event or when we finally do go back to face, is we want to leave them with the best possible impression, with sort of those magical moments where we own mind share with them. So that's the last, which I think is one of my favorite sessions that we're going to be sharing with you. So all of that said, again, all of these will be available to you online, so don't hesitate to look for that immediately afterwards. If you've missed a session, please reach out to us for that. And if you have any questions around any of the content that you see and you'd like a one-on-one session with my incredible digital team, we are available for that as well. So that said, why don't we move forward? So there is no question, right, that we look at the virtual world now and it's sort of like drinking out of a fire hose, right? And just like any one of our cocktail parties, as Andrew would say, he's like, we hope you're all really thirsty because guess what? We have an abundance of solutions to share with you. So we're looking forward to that. Be prepared. This is going to be a fast presentation, but a lot of great content. So let's go ahead and move forward. So some interesting studies have come out most recently about this, one from Event MD. One of the questions that they asked, and the study was conducted in March, was, have you ever been involved in planning a virtual event? And here was the statistics. We have more for you if you'd like to see them. We have another version of this that we'd be happy to share with you. But where they were asked if they'd ever been involved in planning a virtual event. Well, only 11.1% said yes all the time. 24.6% said yes, but only in sort of hybrid events. And then 64.6% said no, but I'm really ready to learn. And isn't that why we're all here today? So next slide. So one of the other questions that they asked was, what did you do for your last major event? In other words, and that was asked here in June. So that would have been in the last 3 months. What did you do, right? Well, interesting enough, right? We all know this because it's happened to all of us, right? 31.9% they had to postpone it. We're certainly facing that. And then how do we supplement and keep the conversation alive, right? As a result at that postponement, 36.6% said it was canceled. And again, we don't know when it's all coming back. So, and then what was great is 31.8% said that they're pivoting to virtual. This is that moment in time, right? This is that sort of, again, remarkable time where we have to pivot with grace. We have to embrace change, and we have to celebrate a new reality moving forward. Now, So basically, what's going to happen between now and the point of recovery, really the only way to stay relevant and the only way to stay connected with our customers, right, is to come up with virtual solutions and how to connect with our customers, right? It's so important that we keep the conversation alive. You know, part of the beauty of face-to-face is our desire to be face-to-face with other human beings. Well, if we can't be face-to-face under the circumstances, how can we connect with them in really meaningful and creative ways that aren't just digital? Because it can't just be digital for the sake of digital. It's got to be profoundly different, really creative and engaging. So again, Andrew was kind enough to do a wonderful setup about me and my background. I love to talk about my people. I'm so proud of these incredible designers that we have on the board today, as well as my whole team. I've had 25 plus years in the industry, and I have to say, I have never been more excited, even under the crazy circumstances, about what's going on in the industry, and even more so by the way that we're pivoting and responding to it, right? With really smart, intelligent solutions that connect, pull people into our brands, and again, keep us connected and our message on target. That said, I have two remarkable designers here with me today. One is Alex and the other one is Angela. They are truly digital ninjas and a digital diva, and I'm thrilled to introduce them. Alex, will you go ahead?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom, for that. And so, yeah, I'm one of the senior event designers here at Steelhead Productions. And as Tom said, we have an awesome team of creative ninjas. So I'm very proud to be among them. And I'm certainly a design and engagement nerd. And I think a lot of the content that we're going to show you today is essentially us nerding out on a lot of the virtual solutions that we're excited to share with you. And plus, with my industry experience, I've got collectively 9 years, you know, half of it being in Australia, and the last 5 years actually here in the United States, here at Steelhead, in fact. And, you know, I love talking about a lot of future forward ideas and ways in which we can really push the industry forward. And a lot of, for a lot of the reasons that Tom was just talking about, to really make sure that we can still maintain and create meaningful connections. And I have been told that I do not have an off button. So I would say that
I can assure you of that.
There's some truth to that, I will admit. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Angela.
Thank you, Alex. Hey, everybody, I'm Angela, and I am definitely a creative dreamer. Like I said last time, I absolutely love creating experiences and dreaming up ideas that are going to help brands connect with their customers. Something that I've really stepped into since we've, had this work from home period, just this transitional phase is I've really just put on the digital diva hat. And I'm just working it and I'm wearing it and I'm just getting to do a lot of graphics work as well as some virtual and 3D. And so it's just been a really fun learning process, and we are so excited to share that learning with you guys.
And we're thrilled to have you both. So there's no question that, the playground that we call virtual has moved to a platform. Look, we're all on Zoom calls. This is how we're staying connected with our customers. This is how we're staying connected with each other during these difficult times. And it will permanently influence our industry as we come out of this, if you think about it, right? We're all getting really comfortable with virtual, right? Where it used to be a nice to have, or it was really something that we did for entertainment or just an add-on, it's now become a very, very important part of our lives. So if you look at the stats, now there is some debate on the actual numbers here, but at the end of 2019, Zoom had around 10,000 daily users. They have since then, right, seen a 50% surge in daily users, right, coming in at around 300 million meeting participants every day. That's remarkable, right? And even look at the school systems, not only here in this country, but in 20 countries across the world, they're using the Zoom platform to proceed with their lesson plans during this lockdown. So it's really become a part of our lives, and it will carry forward as we move past this. So it's going to influence us forever. Let's be prepared for that. On the other side of this, let's be really smart digital marketers so that we can use both. So we're providing really, really intelligent ways of connecting, because it's going to be a different world on the other side of this. So next. Yeah, I know we all know Seth and we love him dearly, right? So, and I love this quote from him. People do not buy goods and services, they buy relationships, right? They're looking for great stories and people who tell great stories. And they're also looking for a little bit of magic. And that's why I go back to it can't just be digital for the sake of digital, right? It's got to be something magical and different because they're seeing an abundance of digital solutions today. We've got to be creative and smart. Next. So why do we need this, right? Well, we need connection. It is basically built into our DNA that we want to be face-to-face. And in this time where we can't be face-to-face, and as we evolve into other social distancing solutions and ultimately hybrid solutions and then ultimately all the way back, we've got to remember that our digital solutions, right, have to nurture relationships. They have to drive a conversation. And most importantly, they have to build trust. So let's look at some different ways of accomplishing that. Next, please. So the most important thing out of all of this, and this is what we tell all of our customers when they're taking a look at digital solutions, right? It's we've got to provide a unique experience, but most important, we have to provide a humanized connection, right? And that's always a challenge within the digital world. How do we keep that humanized connection? It's so critical. Thanks. So we can't just digitize, we've got to humanize, right? We've got to show the face of our brand. We've got to show our heart, right? We have to pull our audience into us in an emotive sort of way. So, and it can't be just tricky, it can't be glitchy. It's got to be really, really, really smart, right? And really targeted at the people that we want to pull into the heart of our brands. Next. You know, at the same time, I think we're all facing this. I mean, you know, we've been doing so much research, right? There's this challenge of really, you know, facing virtual fatigue, right? We're so overwhelmed by it, right? And if it's delivered the same way over and over again, which that's what we're seeing happen quite a bit now, it's the same solutions, a different conversation delivered in the same way. We've got to, again, be really creative, really smart, really sometimes playful in order to pull people in and capture their interest and encourage them to do a deeper dive and a deeper dive and a deeper dive. So we've got to be very, very intelligent about how we combat that virtual fatigue that we're all experiencing in this new world. So that said, you know, we've got to humanize the connection. And how do we do that, right? So we talk about sensory deprivation in one of the upcoming sessions that we're going to do. If you think about it, face-to-face connections, right, are all about getting face-to-face, where it's a full sort of, you know, full-on sensory sort of feel, right? So all of our senses are activated. Our sense of touch, our sense of smell, all of them are activated, right? Well, how do we provide our customers in a virtual world with that sort of total sensory activation? And what we're showing you here is a quick example of a fragrance company that did a really, really good job of humanizing a virtual experience. Certainly nobody is going into their fragrance store and buying any of their products, right? So they had to go live online. Now, so it's fragrance, right? This is what they sell, right? How do you possibly do that in a virtual world? Well, they were very smart and very intelligent in terms of how they approached it. They sent out 3 separate vials, right, and encouraged the attendee to join them and basically create your own scent experience. So again, it's sort of old school, right? And we have to sort of embrace old school in combination with some of these digital solutions. Those are always the best solutions. So they sent these 3 vials. They encouraged the attendee to log on, participate in how to learn and how to make your own fragrance. Outrageously, wonderfully successful in terms of touching all of those senses that are important to us as a species. So it's a new reality, right? And we all understand and we know that. We've heard it over and over again, right? It's time to pivot. Some of the things that we really need to make sure that we do is provide measurable results, right? We also have to understand we're reaching a wider audience than we normally do in a face-to-face encounter, right? We need to also make it scalable. So when you create these digital solutions, right, they've got to be really smart. really concrete and a great foundation for modules that you can plug and play later on. So whether it be pre-virtual event or pre-real event, at event or post-event, virtual or otherwise, we've got to be able to scale and give it longevity so we're not making a huge investment that we can't use over and over again. So there's got to be a smart baseline. So there's got to be a companion to a marketing experience at large. That's that human experience that I talked about. And the wonderful thing about all of this, and this is the remarkable other side of the conversation, is, you know, we're going to be much more sustainable. We're going to be much more approachable. At the same time, we don't have the space restraints that we face at shows. We don't have show regulations, which, by the way, as Christine knows on this call, I've gotten in trouble for over and over again. But so we can break the rules in a virtual world very, very differently. So let's just do that. Let's get creative, let's have fun, and let's move it forward. Next. So I'd like to introduce Alex here. He's going to talk about bridging the gap, and he'll take you through some amazing examples as well, Angela. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tom. And, you know, as Tom was mentioning, you know, we are really trying to bridge the gap here. You know, we kicked off this session with some statistics about, you know, really identifying who's been able to pivot to virtual, and it's only a small portion right now. And, you know, that's completely understandable. I mean, this rate in which we've had to learn and adopt virtual in this current time when, you know, live events are no longer accessible at this time, you know, we want to make sure that, you know, as our objective of today's session is that we can equip you with some tools and educate you on how you can actually bring some virtual tools and technology to the forefront for your marketing needs. So, you know, I know that we have a lot to share with you today, and it is certainly going to be the most information dense out of all the sessions that we're doing. But at the same time, we'll try to make sure that we can structure it in a way that it doesn't exactly feel like the fire hose visual that you saw at the beginning of this presentation. So here's some examples that we'll be talking about today. So, you know, keeping in mind that we want to humanize while we digitize. So the first thing that we'll be talking about is the concept of virtual happy hour, and then going into a virtual event in 360, and then we'll be uncovering, you know, our beyond the booth solution there, and also talking about virtual events that a lot of us will probably be accustomed to at this point in time, and how companion event apps help facilitate that and make it a more of an elevated experience. And also, there's a great feature on our, you know, platform of choice, which is Zoom, of breakout sessions and really the effectiveness of that. And also, Angela will be taking us through live guided tours and how you're able to maintain that face-to-face interaction whilst going through a virtual experience together. And also virtual trade shows, while we're all in a time where we've invested a lot of time and resources into creating solutions for our upcoming event that may have been postponed or canceled, how can we pivot very quickly to bring that into the virtual world? And also gamification will play a part in that as well. And so we'll see a great example of that. And then we have some really great variations of product displays. And so, you know, how to really create a great tactile experience of, you know, a more of a smaller scale product, and maybe something that is more larger scale that you actually have the ability to experience within the inside. And also, basically creating a crossover between virtual and e-commerce. So there's a really great example that Angela will be sharing with you on that. And then we're going to actually put out a bit of a test on the magical getaway. And so just to see if a lot of the points that we'll be bringing forward to today have landed. And at the same time, we're going to be talking about the road back to face-to-face. So a lot of the virtual tools that we have access to right now, how can they be utilized when we are transitioning back to a different reality, face-to-face, you know, where we still will have social distancing measures to consider. So we'll be really excited to go through all of that, and that will wrap up today's session. By the way, this is actually the condensed version. We did actually have like a director's cut because we had so much content to discuss around virtual that we actually have more examples that's more of an extended presentation. So like Tom said earlier, if you would like to have more of a one-on-one with that expanded with bonus tracks, you know, version, we would certainly be happy to share that with you as well. So without further ado, we'll jump right into the first one, which is our virtual happy hour. So many of you have probably seen us market this on our social media platforms, but at the same time, you know, there's a lot to discuss around this because, you know, obviously, you know, with the technology that we have access to today, we already spoke about the massive impact that Zoom has been able to achieve in this current time and how important it is to have access to a technology like that. Well, with our virtual happy hour, whilst we can't actually connect face to face, it's given us the ability to stay connected as a company, as a culture, and also stay connected with our community. We want to make sure that we can still have that time to, create those relationships and really have new people join us as well. So, the marketing team at Steelhead has done a great job of that outward reach to get more people to participate in that. So essentially, why drink at home alone when you can drink with Steelhead? So one thing that we also would like to segue from this is if we were to actually have a face-to-face like happy hour and we were to imagine an environment for that, what would it look like? And the answer that we here at Steelhead came up with is actually going to be a rooftop bar. So check this out. So welcome to the Steelhead virtual rooftop party. I know a lot of you that joined in the first session that we did with Take Me Away would have seen a glimpse of this, but this is the platform and the offering that we have created for our virtual solutions called Beyond the Booth. And there's a very specific reason why we've titled it that, is because as it pertains to virtual, like Tom said earlier, we feel that we can actually break the rules from a spatial standpoint in the virtual world. We're not, connected to the space standards, height restrictions, so that gives us the opportunity to really create an immersive environment where you're able to really tell the narrative of what your actual company culture looks like and really have a creative spin on your marketing strategy as well. So basically, you'll see through the visuals here that you're being guided through this choose your own adventure journey in 360, and you'll be greeted by a lot of Steelheaders along the way who'll be able to gesture you to interact with key touch points and this obviously provides opportunities for lead generation, showcasing product, which we'll see further down the line. And as we move towards the bar, there's our awesome host, Andrew, who will be able to wait for you and actually gesture you towards signing up on our iPad for some great engagement opportunities as well. So, essentially, this is a great way to introduce a virtual solution, but maintain that humanized element of introducing, characters into the environment where you can actually feel like you are a part of that community. There's going to be other people as well within that environment, as you can see here. So as you walk through this virtual journey, you're not alone. So the next example that we have is more of like the format of virtual event that we're more accustomed to. So what actually happened on March 31st, Adobe were 2 weeks out from their live show at Las Vegas for their 2020 summit when that all of a sudden got canceled on them. So they actually had to swiftly pivot to virtual. So what they did is they migrated all of their speaker session content online and made it actually freely accessible. So that actually opened up a lot more doors to greater learning and development for a lot of their customers and partnered businesses as well. So, this is a great way to make sure that a lot of the preparation that you've already had for that live event, you can still leverage some of that content to create, an online experience that is neatly formatted in a way where you can actually really engage and lean into, the speaker sessions that are going to be more relevant to you. So one thing that Snapchat did very recently in June, they actually took the whole virtual event format on a whole nother level. So they actually put together a virtual stage. And so this is a really great way to showcase, virtual technology. So they use green screen, obviously, to create this really interesting element of being able to stand in front of that and having the presentation behind them. So at the entire time while he's going through all of the content, you actually still get to see the presenter face to face while they're presenting that to you. So a really great way to share that content in a unique virtual way. One way we can actually take that to a whole nother level is actually integrate that whole production value with a studio, so green screen, using an LED floor and as a platform and as a backer for the wall, and at the same time, really design a customized stage as well, so that way you can actually present that content and the entire stage environment feels like it's completely branded and customized to your marketing needs. And at the same time, being able to interact with attendees who are actually asking and participating in a Q&A session. So that way, anyone who's attending that, that particular keynote session will actually be able to feel like there's a simulation going on of actually being in an auditorium and seeing that, being amongst other peers who are actually also partaking in that event as well. And so you can see here, that's the actual presenter view where they're actually looking at a screen, but what the actual viewers will see is, a really customized solution for viewing those participants. So for virtual events, obviously, there are great solutions out there for companion apps as well, and there's a lot of benefits to having that as an additional piece. One of which is obviously keying into upcoming sessions that you would like to take part in, adding to calendar. But the most notably, the greatest feature that we consider to be important is the ability to network on this app. So being able to create a profile, have all of your accounts that you would like to have visible, whether it be your LinkedIn, your Twitter, your email, and being able to post on a virtual wall where you can actually participate in the conversation, so that way others can key in, like and comment, much like a Facebook or LinkedIn wall as well. Really makes you stay connected while you're partaking in that event from the comfort of your own home. And with that companion app, you have the ability to make that a very branded experience as well. So you can completely tailor it and customize it, even though, obviously it's going to be a formatted out-of-the-box solution. You have the ability to really make it your own here. And so a lot of things that you could pair with that is an actual pre-event engagement, where you have the ability to set up private meeting scheduling, and also maybe introduce some gamification and really give more information and insight into how you can actually create a personalized agenda around the event. So this is a really great feature that Zoom actually recently added back in April of this year, which is called breakout sessions. So for more extended length webinars or any keynote sessions that you have, you may have an attendance of 1,000 people, for example. And within that, you're going to want to break that up to really combat that virtual fatigue. Obviously, you want to have the ability to stretch your legs, but at the same time, what's most importantly is the ability to connect and network and engage. So what you're seeing here is the ability to separate the entire webinar audience into breakout rooms. So you're seeing here, there's obviously an attendance of 6 people, but they're actually able to dissect that group into 2 individual rooms, where for perhaps a 15-minute open window, they'll be able to tie into that room and actually speak, network, and actually maybe go over the content that they just heard in that session. And then once that time's out, that 15 minutes is over, they'll all automatically migrate back into the full session. So, this is an incredibly scalable feature where you have the ability to create 50 separate sessions within that, and you can have them as incremental as you so choose. But wanted to just really highlight that because it's a really great way to provide your online attendees to really have the ability to connect with one another. And with that, I'll pass this over to Angela, who'll take us through live guided tours and a few other great examples as well.
All right, so live guided tours. This solution is for taking attendees on a virtual walkthrough, and it is really a shared experience. This is so good for salespeople, your sales representatives. I know our marketing and sales team was really excited when they found out about this feature because, they're not on the road. They're not able to go and see their customers and communicate face to face. And, at a live event, there's when you're inside a booth or inside an environment, a lot of times you have somebody guiding you through the space or talking about the content and the products with you. This really allows you to get on a call and still experience the virtual environment like you would at a live event. So, virtual trade shows. This is something we wanted to touch on because we know that a lot of our customers and other exhibitors have experienced canceled shows, but had already started the creative process for that exhibit or event, whatever it may be. this is an amazing way to just take that branded environment that you already put your heart and energy into creating, and bringing it from what would have been the show floor to the fingertips of your attendees. You're still providing them with engagement opportunities. You can incorporate things like webinars and e-literature, and really kind of sending them on a scavenger hunt throughout the space. Now, something that we have seen in the past few years is just how effective it is to have gamification, and how it really encourages our attendees to cross the threshold and come into a space. Well, it's really important that we create these incentivized engagement opportunities for our attendees in the virtual realm, because there isn't necessarily that person, kind of chatting them and greeting them with a smile and inviting them to come in. So this is a really good way to, use the power of play as a point of activation. So now product display. This is definitely something we wanted to talk on, and we have a few great examples of this for you. Product display is a huge part of live events and trade shows, as we all know. And I know I certainly miss, being able to go to the store and touch things and feel things, try on a shirt I want to buy, right? Well, this is a great way to just boost the interactivity element of your virtual environment. We can incorporate a 3D model of whatever product it may be, and the user is able to look at it and go around to different touch points, reading about the information, and really starting to get a sense of the scale, and offering them a really good alternative to that tactile experience that we enjoy and love. So we wanted to show this one because it is really just taking it to the next level. So my friend actually, funny, is she's been in the market for a new car. And well, it's not really the best time to be in the market for a new car, because she wasn't able to go to the dealership and get in the car and, sit in it and see if it feels right, and turn on the stereo and make sure the music is bumping, and, like, to see if she really enjoyed that car. This is such a good alternative to that, because it allows them to sit in the space. They're able to, interact with those touch points as they navigate around. Maybe there's a touch point on the dashboard, and it shows them a video demo of the interface and how it functions. Maybe there's some touch points on the seats, talking about the materials and the leather that they used and why they chose it. Really just educating them and talking to them about the product. And another thing that could be so cool to elevate this experience is maybe they can switch seats, and they can look at the car from all different vantage points and really experience it 360 degrees. So our last product display example is just, I think, the icing on top. I absolutely love this, and have really started to love this virtual with e-commerce merge that's come about. This is incorporating the 3D models and products, but then within seconds, you're able to add that to a cart and have it being shipped to your business, or however, you're going to interact with that product, but you get to see it in a real environment, interact with the actual model, and then take it to, the point of commitment, of purchase, and encouraging your audience to commit and to buy that product. So last webinar, we touched on we talked about it so much, about how effective escapism is for immersing our attendees into our environments. So we wanted to show you this because this space, this virtual environment, does a great job of really using magical realism and getting people out of the world we're in, out of the reality we're living in, right? So, they've got this magical cottage on cloud 9, and it's really beautiful. and you're able to, click different pages of the storybook and view it from different vantage points, right? While this is an amazingly beautiful mystical space, we believe that it is missing a few things. And like Alex, gave you a little hint at the beginning, we're gonna test you guys and see if you've been paying attention. So Liz is gonna throw up a poll and we are gonna give you guys a chance to answer. What do you think this environment is missing? Okay, are you guys answering?
And for anyone who perhaps didn't see it, if you go onto the very bottom of your screen, you may need to click on the poll feature, and that will have Angela's question pop up for you. So it's just at the bottom of the screen near the Q&A feature is the poll button that you can hit.
We should have had some Jeopardy music playing.
I think we got everybody.
All right, let's see. All right, most people did answer all of the above. This is really missing multiple different things to humanize this experience. And second place, was humans. Number 2 came in for that answer. And that would be just such a good way to elevate it, right? Having somebody welcoming you to this magical, mystical place. So great job, guys. Very proud, very proud.
Well done, Angela. Well done.
All right, sorry, I was muted there, but great job, Angela, on all that. And, we had so many great examples of, great opportunities to connect with your customers, from the comfort of their own home, so that way they could still plug in and participate and still connect, network, and really have the ability to lean in to your offerings. So what does the road back to face-to-face look like? Well, there's a few technologies that we want to consider, with that, because obviously we're going to be facing a new reality when we do go back to face-to-face, and it is going to be met with social distancing, considerations as well. So, what kind of pieces of technology can we include? And one of the main things that we considered was, well, every single person that attends your show will be holding a device in their hands, which is VR enabled, it's augmented reality enabled, and it really is a technological powerhouse, which we can actually leverage in some really creative ways. So, one example that we can show here and that you're seeing on your screen is basically a virtual reality example. So, you have the ability to scan a QR code on a wall, which will take you immediately to a virtual experience that you may have been using for the previous months for social distancing reasons, online. And so you'll be able to pretty much bring that experience into the realm of your own marketed space. So whether it be your trade show booth or any other marketing environments that you will have. And so you'll be able to actually provide that headset as an opportunity to really have them immerse themselves into that environment, so they can look around and really connect, the digital world with their physical surroundings. We can't walk away from this conversation without talking about augmented reality. And there's so many use cases for this piece of technology. It has been around for a while, but at the same time, we still consider it to be in its infancy phase of adoption. Reason being is because there is a wide range of cases that, use cases, I should say, that we would like to see implemented. And so obviously you're seeing from a consumer standpoint what that would look like on, a phone or a tablet, whether it be being able to see different pieces of eyewear on your face and seeing what it looks like, so you can make your purchasing decision. And the same can be said for furniture as well. A lot of furniture online retailers have been using augmented reality as a way to really create your living room, transition your living room into essentially a showroom. So that way you can ensure that you've picked the right piece of furniture, whether it be that lamp or that chair, for your environment. But that said, there's a lot more ways to make sure that that technology is accessible, and that's the key here. That's really making sure that you have easy access to this technology. Now, obviously, Wayfair having 18 million products in their inventory, they did make a significant investment. But what is out there that can actually allow you to integrate a 3D model and have it being an interactive piece of content? Well, last year at Adobe Max, Adobe released a free app. It's called Adobe Aero, which you're seeing down at the bottom here, which allows you to integrate any 2D art or any 3D work that you've been working on, whether it be a product or even, like I said, art, where you can actually visualize it within an environment, create a scene with multiple different 3D models to really make sure it becomes an engaging experience. And I'll end with this, because this is a great visual of how that technology can be incorporated into, the physical world here. Because, augmented reality is what we consider to be the bridge between the digital and the physical. So you're seeing a physical product in view, but you're also seeing annotations that basically appear as soon as you focus in on the product at a certain vantage point. So showing exploded views of certain components. But the real question is, out of all of the technologies that you've seen today, how could you deploy it in your events or in your marketing campaigns? Because by the way that you make bold marketing decisions and lean in to this type of technology, you do play a huge role in the shaping of the new reality that we will be living in, and how engagement at events takes place. So with that, I'll end there and hand it over to Tom Frisbee.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys have done a great job. I'm incredibly honored to work with you. So there's some things that we really have to remember here. Certainly, virtual is no longer a playground. It is definitely ground zero, and we are right in the middle of it. You saw, obviously, in our questionnaire, there are a lot of things that we have to create. We've got to humanize that while we're digitizing. We've got to create really unique, engaging experiences. That's only half the battles. Remember, too, that our customers today are expecting a lot more than they ever have. So, again, there's just infinite possibilities. We'd love to share some additional ideas with you. We're going to open it up for Q&A here very shortly. Just a couple of points again before we get into that. These are going to be sent, a link will be sent to you immediately after this with this presentation. If you don't get it, or if you have any difficulty opening it, please don't hesitate to ask. If you'd like to do another meeting with the design department to discuss some of these things, certainly we're available to assist you. Now, that said, I saw some great questions coming in, and why don't we get to those? Andrew, are you going to cue those up for us?
I will happily, and as you said, we've got several here. First, let me take a quick second to back up to say, Alex, Angela, Tom, thank you so much for this great content. So relevant as our world is changing right in front of us in real time. So with that said, let me quickly plug that we will do our next session again here on Tuesday. That is the sensory deprivation session I am so excited for. And now let me jump into your questions. So the first one is, what do attendee metric reports look like, and what is the gathering software that you use?
Andrew, Alex, you want to speak to that one? We can also remind we can do a dashboard for those. Sometimes it's more challenging to do it in real time of your virtual event, but I'll let Andrew speak to some of the specifics.
Yeah, regarding analytics, lead tracking, the platform of choice for Steelhead is HubSpot. That said, there are multiple different software platforms for lead tracking. I know that some of our customers are using Adobe Marketo, and that there's among others as well, that connect to their CRM platforms. So, one of the things that we often tell our customers is with the virtual beyond the booth solution that we have, there's flexibility around which platforms that we work with. So basically, if you are already using a lead tracking software, we don't want you to have a learning curve on a second one. We want to be able to provide you the opportunity to utilize that and plug it into our virtual solutions.
Our next question brings up a really good point, and that is that porting a live event into a virtual is not a one-to-one transfer. So the question follows, can you talk about what that transfer of creative and new development process is like?
So repeat the first part of that question, if you don't mind, Andrew.
Sure, that porting a live event to a virtual one isn't a one-to-one transfer. So can you talk a little bit about what that process is like of moving from a live event into a virtual one?
You know, absolutely, you're absolutely correct. And it is not an easy transfer. I mean, what we love to do is we like to sit down and storyboard, take a look at the, the meeting objectives. How do we create the best virtual solution to be a supplement or augment that? Understanding the measurables, what's important. Also understanding the audience well enough to know how they like to receive information. It's vastly different for all of our audiences, as we know, to make sure that we're selecting the right digital solutions that are appropriate for that unique audience, as well to make sure that it's scalable, because it's no different than creating let's say an exhibit property, right? You're investing heavily into this, right? We want to make sure that we create a baseline that you can build upon and do add-on modules later on. So having some understanding as well as to the long-term objectives is very, very helpful when strategizing around that. Yep.
Thank you. And now a couple more tactile questions, getting into some smaller detail. The next question is with regard to, I guess, some of the capabilities of when you have people meeting live in a virtual space. Is it possible to do multiple breakouts similar to a speed dating scenario in a virtual space?
I love the analogy for speed dating. Alex, I'm gonna let you handle that one.
Yeah, no problem. There's a lot of flexibility around the breakout room sessions, and in fact, I'll go straight to that view as well, so that way you can kind of see this in context. So essentially, having multiple breakout rooms, there's the ability to do 50, and you can actually create flexibility around how well they are timed. You get to dictate who goes where. So if you would like to segment that attendee list into specific groups, so if they are a certain category of attendee, whether it be potential leads or actual customers, I mean, you can connect them and position them accordingly in those rooms. So I'm not sure if that entirely addressed the question directly, but at the same time wanted to show you that there is a lot of control around how you dictate and determine who's positioned in which room and for how long.
Right.
Great, and I think we've got time for probably 2 more questions here, and here's a great one that just came in. VR headsets are kind of a German nightmare under normal circumstances. So how do we incorporate VR during and post-COVID? And with that, the follow-up question, what's the best value in a headset to gift?
First of all, you have to identify your audience, right? And if it's a really well-vetted audience and it's a VIP, it's a buyer, there's one level of headset that you would provide. And always you get a new headset, whether it be the portable, disposable ones, what have you. They're using their phone basically as the device, all right? And we're just providing a headset. So, we have to be smart and intelligent about that. And there's a wide range. I mean, we're actually in discussion with several of our customers around the headsets that it become a part of that high touch piece that is mailed in advance. So yes, there's a wide range. It's a brilliant question. It's certainly applicable. The last thing I'm going to put on at a show is a pair of VR glasses that somebody else has been in. So we totally get it. And there are a lot of ways to deal with that, as well as price points around that. So.
Thank you. And our last question that comes in, this is of course going to vary depending on the complexity, but can you speak a little to the general timeline of what everyone should expect in terms of creating a virtual space? How long roughly?
All right, so the minimum timeline is around, subject to the complexity, okay? So we ask for 45 days. Sometimes we break that timeline. In general, the time it takes, and we do have a digital design process that we'd be happy to share with any one of you that talks about, what all of the steps are, who's required to participate at each level, and then we take you all the way from the information gathering, right, the big idea session, ultimately storyboarding it multiple times, and then the revisions around that, and then finally the delivery or the launch. So for any of you that would like a copy of that, just let us know, and we'd be happy to send you that digital design process, because it does really help in terms of identifying the total timeline, what the deliverables are, and what have you. So yes.
And in addition to
And
that,
a great way to, please go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Andrew. Yeah, I was just going to say, in addition to that, I mean, I want to reiterate one of the things that Tom just said about the fact that it is subject to the complexity, because, you know, with being a virtual environment and we're designing specifically for that space, it does allow for a lot of free-form, you know, out-of-the-box thinking. So, you know, with that, you know, we are going to have a wide range of different use cases, whether it be a small product demo with more of like a modest amount of room occupied for that, or it might be a very more complex journey. So that will vary, but as Tom said, I mean, there's going to be a lot of embedded media that we integrate into here, some of which is pre-existing, some of which is created. So just want to point out that, you know, there is going to be, you know, a lot of moving parts that we want to make sure that we absolutely execute on flawlessly. So yeah, just hope that helps as well.
Everybody's been so
Such a
generous
good
with
point.
everybody's been so generous with their time. We don't want to run over terribly. But the panel would like to extend our thanks for all of our former customers, our friends, our new customers that are participating. Some great questions. You have any follow-up that you'd like to deal with us, we'd be happy to talk to you. But our thanks for your time in joining us during this. So from all of us.
And speaking of that follow-up, be sure to check your inbox within just a couple minutes of following the close of this session. You'll receive an email from us, and that will have links to get in touch with us. I know someone just asked a question a moment ago of how can they see part of that process that Tom was referring to. So please do, Monica and everyone else, check out that email that will arrive in your inbox shortly. Get in touch with us, and we will happily send that over your way. And of course, that's a great way to get in touch with Tom and the team to schedule some time to get into depth about what's possible for you. I want to remind everyone that at the same time Tuesday, we will do our sensory deprivation session, which I am so excited for. And on behalf of everyone here, I want to say, Alex, Angela, Tom, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here at Steelhead Productions. And you can always find us additionally at exhibithappy.com. Thank you all, and see you on Tuesday.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.